Welcome, everybody, to the Out of Home Insider Show, a podcast like no other, hosted by the one and only Tim Rowe. Get ready to have some knowledge dropped on you and to be entertained, because nothing's more valuable than food for your brain. So sit back, relax, we're about to dive in as the best industry podcast is about to begin.
I just redid my office, man. My wife's like,
Awesome.
Mommy, she's like, dude, you need a legitimate desk. She's like, you have a legitimate business and you have like the worst possible office setup. It was like, it literally was like this old table that was literally given to us. And I was working on that. And then another table was my wife's grandma's table. And, you know, I just kind of, I mean, that's just the way I've always kind of been, is very like, not as like, I just don't buy a lot of stuff, you know. I just kind of just live like, you know, kind of meager, like frugally, you know. And so I was like working on this desk. My wife's like, you need like a legitimate desk. This is ridiculous. You are working on like hand-me-down tables and you have all this really important stuff going on.
Yeah, no kidding.
What are you doing? And I'm like, please just help me. I need help, you know.
Honey.
And it's the story like of of everything that we've done in business, and that's one thing I've been learning with the guy that he helps me doing some sales and real estate, and he's one of my employees. But he's like, man, he had like crafted this letter. It's like kind of more like, you know, we just need like some help. You know, we need you to help us, and it's not like let's go bang everybody's doors. We ruin everything. We're the top dogs and we're going to get this. It's like, no, we're like, just, little guys, please help us. And people respond to that stuff, man. They do. We never get anywhere like without people helping, you know? I mean, it's
and at the end of the day, really, that's what we're doing, right? Like, hey, we're going to help you promote the thing you want to promote. If it's a cause, if it's a business, if it's a birthday, whatever it is, we're going to help you. You help me help you.
Yeah, and I was telling somebody that yesterday. I said the best thing I ever liked about the billboard business was it was always just a win-win. Like everybody was winning. You know, there was not a single person in the deal. Yeah. And I was doing real estate before I started doing billboards, and it was like we were buying properties, but you had to be able to get the equity. Somebody else had to lose the equity. It wasn't like you just created the equity. It was when we bought this property, it was because we bought it at a discount. And then somebody lost the equity that they had in it, and you gained it. So it was you were taking it basically from somebody at a certain point. Now you were in the right place at the right time, but it was somebody had to kind of lose a little bit for you to win. And the billboard business was just like perfect. I was like, this is awesome. Everybody wins. You create the equity out of nothing.
Just pure value creation.
Yeah, and everybody wins. The landowners, the advertisers, and the sign owner. You win because everybody else wins. And that was the best. That was the thing that attracted me to it. I was like, I like this better than anything. But I mean, we were good at buying properties and buying them at a discount. And I figured out ways you could share the equity and things like that with these property owners when they were about to lose their home. And so I took a lot of what I had in that and, you know, used it in the billboard business. I mean, per se, just what I learned in there was valuable to moving forward with the new business. But I just like everybody winning, man. Like it's nothing beats that, you know, and everybody wins and everybody gets their part of it.
Hey, there's enough to go around, right? Nobody's hurting anybody. So that's interesting. Like it makes sense, right? To go from real estate to outdoor, but like, how did you get introduced to like, what got you into billboards?
Well, I just had a partner originally when I started, and his dad was in the business, and we were down on the beach. I mean, I think I was like, this was like 2007. I was living on the beach, and he was my neighbor at the beach, and I was buying and selling properties, and I was like, you know, I was kind of just hustling, you know, grinding, doing whatever I could. I didn't have anything to start, and it was just like, just whatever you can do, you know. And I was buying property subject to, so you didn't have to have all the money to buy the property. It was like, you could buy it.
Yeah, 07, that's the Wild West of mortgages.
And stuff was, when things were moving up quick, you know, and I started doing that in like 05, 06, and I left my job as accountant. I was working for a CPA firm, and And I just wasn't cut out for that. I just didn't like sitting in the office, man. I don't mind sitting in the office, but I just felt cooped up. I couldn't be who I wanted. I couldn't use my personality.
It's hard to imagine you just stuck at a desk and crunching numbers all day.
Well, it's hard because you just it's just A, B, C and 0 to 1. It's like the rules and things that you deal with in accounting, you don't have any leeway. You can't kind of work around it. It's like, it's set in stone is kind of most of what it is. And sales is the complete opposite, and so, but yeah, so I met this guy and he knew a little bit about it, and I knew a little, had experience, had, the degrees and had experience in buying and selling property. So I kind of knew enough, and I knew a lot about contracts and doing, agreements, and I had done all that. So, and I had done a ton of real estate training. I was all about getting and learning more information. So it was just constantly let me learn as much as I can. So every day it was every night, and most everybody else was just out drinking and partying, and I was like, I'm gonna freaking learn. I'm closing my door, and I'm just gonna get all these books, and I'll buy books and tapes and courses on eBay and everything I could learn, and about buying and selling real estate. So it was a perfect segue because I had that experience, and it was perfect to do billboards. And when he said, "I do billboards," I was like, "What is that, man? I need to learn a little more." He's like, "Oh, it's just something you kind of get born into, And kind of no, I'm not going to tell you anything until you're I'm going to make sure I'm going to get
some skull and bones stuff.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to get my cut. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. You can get your cut, and just show me a little bit, and I'll make sure you're going to be good too. We're all going to come up together.
That's right.
And, that's pretty much what happened. We just we started building signs, and it was hard times, man. This was 2008, and when we first built the first two signs, it was still the economy was still doing good.
Yeah.
And I remember renting these signs, and it was instantly we're making money, and I was like, oh, this is just a no-brainer. I can keep doing this. It's easy, yeah. And then it was get kicked in the mouth 12 times on the next 12 locations. I'm like, I'm going to build these. I'm going to keep building. This is easy. And we spent a lot of money, and they kind of get kicked in the mouth a few times. And you're like, dang, I don't know if we can make the payments on this stuff, And so, the experiences I had up to that point was let me talk to my lenders, because I can work this out. These guys are just like us. They understand what the assets are, and they want us to succeed more than they want to take back any assets. So, I didn't have anything at the beginning. So it was kind of I don't know what to do with this. I don't really know how to sell outdoor. And it was just, nobody was buying anything either. And then we went to the 2009 and the 2010, it was in 2009. And once and it wasn't a lot of money. I mean, we didn't spend a lot of money. We just spent enough to where it was, you didn't really know how much to pay in rent. You didn't know how much, debt service was going to cost you, or you knew how much it was going to cost you. So you thought you were going to rent these signs for $700 a face. And then during 2009, it was you'd be lucky to get $300 for that face.
Wow.
So, and it was one of those things where it's if you take it now, you're not going to even get your money back. So you might as well work with us. We're smart. We can do this. We know what we're doing. We can be scrappy we can be super scrappy with this. And we climb. I mean, I was terrified. I wouldn't even climb on a sign. I wouldn't even go near it. The first wood sign we built was 8 feet off the ground. I remember I was like, I ain't going up there, dude. I was like, I'm not going up there.
Looks good from down here.
Yeah, I was like, I'm always the guy handing up stuff, and we just had to do. And then by the end, I was climbing up 25, 30 feet, helping screw in boards. I was still scared, and I was not good at it. I was not good at it, but that's what we had to do to make it. It was just go interest only on my loans, and that saved us $2,000 a month. And then I will find the locations. It doesn't cost anything to get locations. I will get the locations, and we will freaking go get poles from the power company. They're sitting on the ground. They're just trying to get rid of them. Yeah.
Wow. So that's scrappy. That's some hustle get up.
Yeah. It was a freaking grind, man. And my mindset sometimes always stays in that kind of mode where
it's healthy.
I'm like, oh, let's go. We like just put like 2 digitals up. I'm like, oh, like, let me just hold out for a minute. Let me just hold off on, like, I've kind of got more digitals to go, but it's like, 60, 75 grand, 80 grand every time you do one, and plus, structure. So I'm always kind of like, let's just take our time here. Let's maybe, um, maybe you just start with just a static sign, feel out the location, and then go digital.
Sure,
Don't
sure.
always.
Yes, yeah. There's a lot to learn along the way, right? It's not just you can't just pull up on the side of the road with a post hole digger and stick a stick in the ground, and there you got a billboard business, right? There's a lot of moving components, and like you said, you were staying up late and researching this stuff, so it's not for the faint of heart. But you went from 2 to how many structures do you have now?
Gosh, it's a good question. There's two. We got about a little over 500 static faces, and then
Wow.
we got like 14 digital. So
That's awesome. And
uh,
did you acquire stuff along the way? Did you build all of that? Like how
no,
does
I
that
mean
mix?
yeah, it's a pretty good mix. It's probably we built a lot of signs. I've bought quite a few signs. I mean, it's probably like 60, 70%, 60, 70% we built, and then the other percentage we bought. Just because it's sometimes it just gets expensive building. I mean, most of the stuff or it gets expensive buying. Buying stuff on multiple. So we always would just buy 1 or 2,
Okay.
or a few, just a handful of signs when you can buy them super cheap. And the ones that just got neglected were the ones that I bought.
Yeah.
That they were.
Kind of like real estate, right? Find the
Yeah,
worst house on the best block and go buy it, fix it
it
up,
was.
make
I
it
mean,
pretty.
it was exactly the same concept as buying and selling properties. I mean, it was in the way I've run the business. Most people are like, dude, how have you run so many signs with just a skeleton crew, like kind of like one person, and manage the operations, the sales, and the real estate? And now I just actually hired 2 sales guys to help me try to ramp up the occupancy, because I can stay at 80%
Congratulations.
all day long, but the other 20% doesn't just sell itself.
Right, right. And
And so,
that's pay dirt right there.
yes, I got to get the ramp it up, but it was always just the idea of marketing. For me, it was like I always am thinking, how can I get people to call me?
Yeah.
And how do I get the people to come to me that want this product, instead of let me just go chase at people and try to chase them and chase them, chase them? How do I get them to come to me? And that was the same concept that we had in real estate when we were trying to buy properties. It was always you marketed to get people to contact you.
Hmm.
And you're always in the driver's seat more when people are contacting you versus
Yeah.
you calling them. You're in the driver's seat a little bit more or less. Now, I guess there's something to be said about sales and you can control the process sometimes when you're actively calling them. You have a good idea. Um, you have something to present to them that says, here's why, versus
Yeah.
just being an order taker, which is probably more of what I've done. But
Right.
um,
But it's the push versus pull. And if you can get folks to call you and run on a skeleton crew and run at 80% occupancy, I think there's plenty of people who would love to do that. And maybe a few folks listen to the show that would love to do that too. Without giving away the secret sauce, how do you get them to call you?
gosh, I mean, I think it's just being everywhere, man. You have to be everywhere. I mean, there's just so, I mean, the old school stuff too, like everything old school, I think still is just so pertinent. I mean, everybody wants to be the internet, and the internet's great. And I do like to be, you know, my SEO. I want to have solid SEO for the areas I'm operating in, so people can find me, that I'm findable online.
Yeah.
But we get a smaller percentage, and then we use our assets for sure. The assets that we have, we use them all day long. If it's
No
available,
better
it's
way,
going to be
right?
available.
Like
I
we
mean, if it's going
believe
to
in
be,
it.
I mean, if it's going to be available, we have a little bit higher conversion off of the leads we get from the signs. But then you get a lot of, you do have a lot of tire kickers, no matter where you're
Sure.
advertising. And I mean, I believe in email, and I believe in direct mail. I mean, a lot of the old school stuff I still believe in. We don't really do TV, but people overlook that stuff, man. Like,
Sleeping.
it's just people overlook it, and it's like that's what works. It's like the good old. I even tell people, don't advertise on a billboard if you're just going to put up one billboard and just say, oh, it's going to really work for me. It's like, no, the billboard only works when you're hustling and you're grinding it. You're like going door to door. The billboard's right there, and then you're going door to door right along that road, and saying, or right in that neighborhood behind there and saying, hey, we're right here. And they're like, okay, cool. We know you. We've seen that brand every single day and we know you. And now we'll do business with you because for one, we know your brand and we trust you,
That's
And,
that's such a great point. Are you familiar with the story of Brex?
I know about it, but I don't know the story.
Yeah, so there's a great video. I'll have to link out to it in the show notes description below. The CEO talked about how they had a $400,000 budget starting out. They do credit for for I think it was for fintech startups, like really specific, really niche. So they took out a billboard campaign in San Francisco near all the startups. This was a couple of years back, 2017, 2018, and in his words, $400,000 worth of billboards were cheap. He was surprised by how cheap they were, right? There's always this misconception that they must be so much, but they must be so expensive. And what he said was all of the outbound that we were doing, all of the cold calling, all of the email, all converted higher. And everyone was, oh, hey, yeah, I know of you, right? It made all the other stuff work better. It's an amplifier.
Yeah,
that's what it's an amplifier. You got to do the other stuff though too. You can't just put up a billboard and back up the Brinks truck and hope everybody's gonna run in and give you money.
Yeah, just wait. I put it up and now I'm just like waiting. Like, where's my calls? I'm like, oh, it's just not the right thing for somebody who does that, And I do, and sometimes people might say, well, you don't really necessarily believe in it that much. It's like, no, it's not about believing it. The people that have done the best with the billboards have been the people that stuck with it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And everybody knows them. They know for the one, they stuck with it, but then they hit, they constantly had every market area kind of covered and they stuck with it and everybody knows them. They are just the prominent players and they're all slammed and they've grown. I mean, I wish I would spend a little bit more time getting those numbers of like what they've grown. Some of these businesses that have advertised with me for 10 plus years, how much they've grown. And how much really attributes to the billboards that makes that brand so famous. It makes their brand just everybody knows
famous. It makes them famous, right? And when you think about how fractured all media is right now, we got the dog making an appearance here. That's Yankee there. He's a blind border collie. He's about 3.5 years. Oh, is that your name? Is that
what's up, Yankee?
You good boy. Right. If you think about like how fractured media is and how hard it can be to buy, right? What's the best way to reach my customers? Is it TV? Is it radio? Well, I bet most of them have to drive to the grocery store once in a while. I bet most of them have to drop the kids off at soccer practice. There's one thing in common. Most places they got to drive. So no really better way than outdoor to reach them. Are you seeing since COVID? Have you seen the portfolio shift at all in terms of category? Are you seeing different advertisers that maybe you historically hadn't pulled from that category, or maybe some folks doubling down?
Obviously, like real estate businesses have always been, real estate construction industry has always been a big buyer for us, and they've really amplified it because the thing's just been going. I mean, and where I live here, in the coast eastern North Carolina, it's like people just started moving here and that's just bumped it up even more. I mean, some of these areas have seen just insane appreciation rates, like in 2 years, 50%.
Wow. And whereabouts? I was stationed in Jacksonville, actually. I lived in North Carolina for a bit.
Plus, I mean, yeah, that's right. Yeah. I remember you telling me that before we talked.
So what areas of coastal Carolina are really blowing up in terms of real estate?
I mean, I live in Wilmington, and it's just been, Wilmington, they said something like number one place people were moving to and things like that. But we cover pretty much all the coast, and then most all of eastern North Carolina and eastern South Carolina. And
you've got a good setup on the website too. What's the website because one, I think Gray does an exceptional job from a content standpoint, the SEO, the website, everything's tight. Everything is tight. And especially for an independent, you don't have a big team behind you to make all this tight. Where can folks go to see just how tight a ship you run?
Well, it's greyoutdoor.com, GREY outdoor.com. And that's got, it's just show locations and stuff like that on there too, where we are. And, It's got some information trying to kind of like get people, the information like we're talking about, like what kind of results you're going to have when you get the sign, because I want them to, it's nice when they call and they're like a little bit educated, because sometimes I feel myself being like, they call you like, hey, how's this work? And I'm like, try to get like, can you just go to the site and like read the first page, because I want the first page to like kind of explain how it works, just a little bit. But yeah, so I mean, we try to just stay on top of the web world. I mean, now it's no brainer. Like the Google is the phone book, man. Like people did the phone book, and now it's Google is the phone book, and people go to that for finding information. I mean, that's where your calls are going to come from. I mean, the majority of your calls are going to come from that. It's kind of what I tell them. I say the calls are going to come from Google. But the thing is with Google is that there's like 10 other guys in your space, and there's 12 people fighting for that like top rank, and then they're all fighting for the AdWords, and they're spending more and more and more money. And that's where we come in, as we can make it. Well, you're spending that money, but you might not have to spend as much money as you're spending trying to chase those leads and getting all the tire kickers calling you. Your branding that you do with us is going to get you. It's going to get you noticed in that 10 list. That list of 10, they go with the ones they know the best.
It's funny. I'll tell you a story. We just ran this test campaign at One Screen. We ran a self promo campaign on a network of 16 digital billboards. We ran through Blip. It was super easy, right? So we ran that, and then I call it billboard insurance. We also ran paid search in the 2 counties where the billboards were for the keywords that were on the billboards, or like a combination that someone was likely to search. And looking at it, and the test is still running. We just turned off the billboard, but left the paid search running. And this is interesting. When we increased billboard impressions by 145%, it drove 331% more Google search for those search terms, right? Wow. We always talk about the 1 + 1 = 3. Well, there it is in Google Analytics. And that's an exciting story to tell. What makes it especially exciting is now we've turned the billboard campaign off. Greg, would you like to guess what has happened to the search volume? I would be
curious to know what happened.
Off a freaking cliff, off a cliff. The search volume went off a cliff. So there we have the story. Like clearly these billboards were causing this result. And now we have some data to show it. So we're working on a lot of stories like that, because
I would love to get a hold of that, man.
It's coming for sure.
I've seen it, but it's like hard. And that's been always the hardest thing. It's just so hard to quantify so much of the stuff that we deal with. And it kills me sometimes, because people sometimes, like when you get somebody to cancel and they say, man, the billboard wasn't really working for me. And I'm like, how was it not working for you? I want to know how it was not working for you, because I need to figure out the how and the why. Sometimes it might just be, a budget thing, or, they just maybe didn't believe in it. But I know that billboard was working. I know it worked.
Right. It took no days off. It was up every single day of the month. It didn't take off a Saturday or Sunday. It worked.
It worked. It's just, was it used in a way, or were you expecting a result that was different than what your results actually are from it, or is it just so hard to quantify? I know everybody wants to quantify it. I want to quantify it too. I'm like, but doing what you're doing, that's awesome that you guys are doing that, because that it really proves so much of what we always say, but to be able to show the actual results from something like that. So, but I saw you guys were posting about the One Screen, but I don't know anything about it. Well, what is it?
Yeah. So One Screen. So it once upon a time, the 2 of the founders, Greg and Sam, hit me up and they were like, hey, we're building this platform to make out of home more like Facebook ads, where you can optimize towards a result. And I was like, that sounds awesome. I'm in. So that's what we're building, is an interface so that we can sit down with a brand or an advertiser platform like Facebook ads and say, okay, Mr. or Mrs. Advertiser, like, how well established is your brand? We're brand new, or we're Nike. Everyone knows us, right? Like where do you fall? Do people know you? And then that relative to, what is the thing that you sell? Are you Chick-fil-A asking people to turn off the next exit to get some waffle fries? Or are you Lexus trying to get somebody to buy a car, right? That's a major purchase. It's not something I'm in the market for right now. It might be in 3 years, right? So how well established are you relative to what you sell? What are the moments that you could potentially interact with or engage your key audience, right? And where are they in the world when you could do that? Is it in a coffee shop? Is it driving to work? Is it parking their car? Where do you have the best opportunity to engage that audience in the moment you care most about engaging them with? And then allowing the advertiser to execute that campaign in a measurable fashion. And we don't think that measurement has to be like, hey, someone saw this billboard and then bought a thing. We think that it should be, hey, I drove more traffic and that led to more Google conversion goals. Like my website traffic was up and my time on site went up and my bounce rate went down and my quality score went up on Google paid search. So now I'm paying less per click for my SEM, right? Like we know out of home works. And I don't think that we need to take responsibility for like that bottom of the funnel last touch attribution. We can add value to the entire customer journey. So that's what we're setting out to build at One Screen and partner with a lot of great folks around the country. Right, focus right now on different types of digital formats. So it's pretty exciting and it's another net gain for the industry because the folks that we're talking to have never done out of home before. Right. They're mostly digital marketers who are, expanding.
Yeah, so it's more programmatic idea. The idea is more programmatic.
Eventually, or at least selling out of home as like, hey, these are like banner ads, but really, really big. Right. Like there's other ways to measure it too. Like you don't have to be so rigid. Like let's just get back to being good marketers. Right. Who do I want to talk to? What do I want to say to them? And how do I want to do it?
Yeah, and hit them like multiple places. Sometimes you can hit them in one spot, but if you don't hit them at three, like it's the second, third, fourth time you touch them, and it's not from just the one thing you touch them with. It's what you hit them at. You hit them from. That's why when you said what's the secret sauce, I'm like, well, there's like 7 different things that it's not one. It's like just 6 or 7 different things that you do, and the third time that they see it or they've talked to you or they've heard something, then that's when you get them. That's where you convert them. Is that other thing, But that was we did like some surveys for the association, the North Carolina Association that I'm a board member of the North Carolina Association. And
quick note, I heard that is the most fun association in the entire industry. Truly, I heard that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, everybody's super cool. It's a small crew, and it's about half Lamar. And it's just like the North Carolina, it's 50% Lamar, and they're all really nice people. I mean, everybody that I've ever come across there are just nice people, at all the companies. And then we have a lot of Adams is pretty big too, North and South Carolina, sure. And but yeah, and out front, so you have those 3, and then there's a couple smaller independents, that we have. But in the survey we did, like we surveyed and just asked them a lot of questions. And, I was thinking one of the questions was like, if you took a brand and you just, it's almost just like just knowing that name, like after, let's say that the only result you had was if you surveyed them after a week of you knew they drove that route. Yeah. And before they would not know this name. And then, you survey them before, do they know this name? And then a week later, do you know who this is? And they're like, yeah, I've seen that, and they might even just bring up that question of like that business, like, what is that? And interested, and it's all about just generating that interest. But yeah, like the programmatic thing is it's awesome. I mean, the idea that we could be selling like Facebook ads at some point is just, I mean, to me, I'm bullish on that idea because it's something that I don't know that much about technology, but I know it's possible. And like, I wanted just my website to be like that, where why would all my own inventory, I should be selling that. Like how many businesses, like most business, you can buy their product online,
Totally.
Like,
right.
Like you know what I mean? It's like most 90% probably you can buy their products online. And when you look at outdoor, it's like, it's not that confusing. I don't think, I don't think it's that hard or that confusing to me. It's just changing, the idea of, let me send you a proposal.
Yeah.
And then tell me what you like, and then I'll send you the contract. It's like, why don't I just send you the proposal and you just click buy right there, Or
Right.
why not
Yes.
just have it listed on the site, and then they just click buy right there. If it's
Boom.
available, it ties your inventory. Why don't they just hit buy? To me, it just is. That's where it's going to be, and whether or not it's going to be a huge, big exchange, or if it's one just gray outdoor website, you know what I mean? Like,
Could
I
be,
don't.
sure.
It should just be like my website. I should at least be able to sell my own inventory. If I don't sell anybody else's inventory, why would I not be there?
Sure. And if you think about automotive dealerships are a perfect analog. If you had asked them 10 years ago, hey, you want to sell cars online? You could probably make a bunch of money doing it, right? So for perspective, eBay Motors started selling cars online in 2005, right? So like selling cars online isn't a new idea, but if you asked any franchise automotive dealer, hey, you want to sell a car online? They'd be like, absolutely not. Right. And then what happens? COVID forces their hand and they have to install some, digital retailing tools. Meanwhile, Carvana's kicking their teeth in selling cars online for, it's people want to do things on their terms and have control. And, I don't think someone's going to buy a house online, but if I can get a pre-approved for a mortgage, and if I can find the realtor I want and make a short list of homes that I want to buy, well, that's pretty close. And if I just say, hey, Gray, I looked at these 3 homes and I'm already pre-approved for this amount of money, let's rock and roll. Hey, that's pretty good. And we could do the same thing with billboards.
Yeah, and I think they're doing that too. I mean, I know some people we talked to that they would do like a virtual tour, and they were making offers on homes. I mean, especially during COVID, because people just didn't want to go out, they didn't want to go meet people, and then it was like they're just literally buying homes, and it just everything, just convenience. I mean, you can see it now is just different. I mean, when I started in 2007, 2008, it was not the same market as it is now. It's totally different. People are way less likely to go ride a market. They're more likely to actually sit on their thing and click down the road on Google Maps.
Totally.
You know what I mean? And they're like, I think that might be, is that Grace on? Okay, let's call them.
Right. It's funny. So I installed a dash cam at the beginning of last year because I was thinking about like doing virtual market rides for agencies. And then COVID hit, I got furloughed, and position was eliminated, unfortunately. But I'm like, I'm still long on that. Why can't we just drive around with dash cams? Hey, I'm going to plot. Here's the campaign that I'm proposing. I'm going to plot these into my app. There's a great app, Road Warrior, that lets you do something like that. Trip chains the whole thing together. Drive around, drive past it all, stitch it together, send it to a client. Like, yay, high five. It was like doing a market ride. Maybe I'll even put some fun music to it.
Yeah, and I always thought that was, even when I started, I was starting to think in that terms of like, instead of just like one photo, why wouldn't I have I could start like a YouTube channel and ride you could see the read. I'll just do a cell phone camera from the ride, but driving through it in like a short video. It don't have to be, the 20, 30 seconds. And that, I always felt like that would sell the inventory better than it would just one photo. I think that's where it's going to probably go more and more. I would think that is doing more, more videos of just a little bit more than just one photo, because it's hard to get it from one photo,
Right. You don't know that there's an on-ramp over here that you can't
like a
see.
Tree right in front of it.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, it looks perfect, but like the angle is just like a little bit to the side, and it's like you can't really see exactly what's in front of it, and I think that would help. I think the more that we did that as an industry, and I have always ideas, and whether or not we execute on them is one thing, but those are things that I think if you did a little bit more of that, it might be easier to sell, more programmatically and being able to just making it easy, easier for people to buy. I want to just be easy to buy. So sometimes even people say that because when they deal with the owner and they call, and I can make decisions quickly about what we're doing, and I can send them the contract. There's not going to be as much red tape in the way of us doing the deal.
Right.
If you want to rent the sign, I can get it for you, and I can get it done today, and we'll get it in process. There's not going to be like, let me go back and forth. Let me send this approval. And people I think have liked that over the years. I've noticed people, man, that was really easy, you know. That was really easy to buy, you know, and I want it to be easier to buy moving forward. Like there's so much to learn, and that's one of the things I want to get better at is making it easier for people to buy.
There's
And
lots of billion-dollar companies that all they do is just make it easy, right?
I mean, that's what Amazon did. That's all they did.
Just
That's
make
all
it
they
easy.
did.
Hey, in most cases, some of that stuff's more expensive.
It was literally the same stuff that's been sold. It's been sold for years. The exact same products. All they did was put it online and make it super easy to click one freaking button, and you could get it to your door. And it was simple. And then they've just made billions off of that. So it's just a no-brainer. And I think one of the things we implemented was AdQuick, and AdQuick's helped me a lot, and I really like their proposal system. And I've been able to just send out lots more proposals. I mean, we're still working out some kinks on it. It's still really new, and I think we're still kind of working through the kinks and stuff. But it just made me so much more effective when we scaled up the amount of locations and faces that we've had to sell. It's organized it so much. I'm really grateful for them at AdQuick and what they've done there. And I think they're going on that path. They're going in that direction, and I like going in that direction. That's where I want to go too, you know.
Absolutely. In fact, let's stick around after the episode here, because I might have something for you. You just jogged something. Greg, what are you most excited about in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, well, for one, just getting rid of COVID, man. Like, we need to get this thing out of here. So I'll be excited to just like get back to normal and like hang out with people just normally, you know, like hugs and handshakes and everything. Hopefully by like summer, when I saw the guys at Billboard Insider, which they're awesome too. I mean, they've done a lot. I think they're doing a lot.
Outstanding. And at such a higher level.
Every day.
Excellent.
And they just are really, really smart guys. And I've done some business with them in the past. They were actually one of my lenders when I started.
No kidding.
So I really like what they're doing. They've got some good insights into the industry, and I really like what you're doing too, because
thanks, man.
It's a different. You're taking like a different approach. I got to go through. Man, I saw all the podcasts you got on there. I'm like, I got to get through some of these, because you have some of the most interesting people that have diverse backgrounds. They're not just like regular billboard developer guys like me that, you know, they just have so much diversity in the.
You're the first developer, media owner, like independent. Yeah, you're the first. Yeah, and I always knew it had to be you, because like you're the only person I've seen doing videos of billboards being put in the ground. Like, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah,
I always like that idea of showing that. And some people might say it's like, oh, it's kind of being boastful, like you're just kind of being like, yeah, I'm doing this. But most of the time you don't really see that like the glory moment. And that's why I like that glory moment, because it was like, it seemed like it was just so easy, just the pole going on the ground and the head getting lifted up. And it just all looks like it's just so easy. But you didn't see like the 5 years before that I was in like 12 meetings trying to get the sign approved. And, you know, and all the anguish and the anxiety you had, worried about this, you know, did I get the survey right? Did I get my set? You know, did I get everything? And all the anxiety and the things that
late
go through.
nights, I'm sure.
Yeah. You just wake up like, oh my God, what about that? I forgot about this. I forgot about that.
Keeping the notepad next to the nightstand, scribbling stuff at 3 a.m.
You don't see any of that, but it is there's so, you know, like you said at the beginning, there's just so many things that go into a sign, you know, just getting a sign built. There's so many things, and it is very simple business, but it's so many things that go into it that just don't think about, you know. And but I always like that glory moment of like, this is getting done and we're doing it, you know. And I think I would cram my advertisers, like photos of my billboards with the advertisers on it over and over and over. But I don't know if it has the same impact as like like a video of like in just the grinding moments, you know. We need more videos. I'm gonna probably do some where it's like out like just in the meetings and in the trenches of it.
Please do it. There's such a cool opportunity to tell that story. And I would love to do some ride-alongs with Gray as we're going to see some stuff and doing some things. I'm in. I'm your first subscriber. Do it.
Yeah, I know. Man, 2021 is just, it's going to be a good year. I mean, I'm just optimistic in general and about everything about the industry and about where we're going. I mean, there's so many good people that are going and really working on a lot of things and there's really smart people in this industry, and
Yeah, there are.
there's just so much opportunity to just keep growing, and it's getting harder, and it's definitely getting harder, but to me, when it gets harder, you just have to be more creative.
Mm.
You have to be more, you have to be like believing in something that maybe nobody else has ever believed in.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to believe that things are possible that most people don't think is possible. It's like, it's possible. Just don't think it's not possible. If you think it's not possible, you're definitely not getting it
done. Right. It just hasn't been done yet. You're going to be the one to figure out a way to do it. There's
Yeah.
a fun law of physics is that if something happens, right, if we experience a phenomena, right, in the physical world, then physics doesn't try to disprove it. There must be a law that allows that to happen and exist, right? So if we adopt the mindset of physics here and say, hey, you know what, like if I think that could happen, then there must be a law within the universe that means that could happen. That's it.
For
There's gonna be
sure.
lots of
Yeah. I mean,
roadblocks along the way.
I think that was one of the first. It was like one of the first books. I mean, I've always been on the hunt for just really cool things to learn, and I just like learning. I mean, I'll be learning until the day I croak, but the secret was like, it was Think and Grow Rich was one of the first books I read by Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill, of course,
And,
Dale Carnegie, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that one of those, and my friend Ross, he gave me that book, and he was like, "Dude, you need to read this Think and Grow Rich, man." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'll read it." I was like, "What's the deal with it?" And it was just all about that mindset. It was all about like believing and thinking and believing and using that. And then when that secret came out, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." I was like, I can apply the secret to my life, and it works against you like really bad too. And it'll work for you, but it'll work against you the same way. And it really is so true. I mean, somebody asked me the other day, like, how do you think you've been able to do it? And I was like, well, I've just been praying to the right God. I'm grateful for everything that I have. I'm grateful for my life and exactly where I'm at right now. And I always, I pray that all the things that the places that God wants me to go are the places that I go, and the things that are meant to be and what my path is already laid out. It's like, I'm just here to fulfill it. Amen. I'm here to fulfill my destiny in the world. And I have all these ideas, and for years I want to stronghold my ideas. Like, I'm going to do this because I can do it. And it's like, just let it go. Let go of the idea of me wanting to do this and I'm going to do this for me and me and me. And then just the things just start falling into place, and you're like, why are they falling into place? Like, because you just kind of
Funny
want
what happens when you turn over control.
It's just the things
plan.
just happen. The good things just continue to happen, and you just have to have faith and that belief system, I think, in life is just so important, just to believe and in yourself, but in just something greater than you, whether it's a God or if it's whatever you're praying to in the universe. It's and I'm trying to teach my little boy that now too, because it's I'm sitting there with him. I'm like, buddy, like, you can just accomplish anything in the world. You can accomplish anything. If you put your mind to it, you believe and you have faith and you just believe in it, that you see, if you can visualize things and how you want them to go. And it's kind of contradictory to the idea of like praying and then like hoping things are going to happen like the way you want them to, but you do have to kind of will things into existence. And if you're praying, you want to pray specifically of the things that you're wanting, along with the idea of like, just send me on the path I'm supposed to go. If that's not what's meant for me, then it's not meant for me. Like, the things that have set you back, those were the things that helped you freaking accelerate so fast. Like the ones where you just were just anguished and like, God, this was meant to be for me, and I was supposed to do that. And it's like, nah, it was supposed to accelerate you past that, like to the next thing and just go bigger and better. And it's just, there's just so much more to learn. But the secret and that Think and Grow Rich was awesome. The first book I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad. Have you ever read that book?
Robert Kiyosaki. I've got it laying around here somewhere.
And that's so much pertinent to the billboard business. And that's one of the things probably led me into it. It's like you buy assets, they provide income. This is the mode of cash flow. That's how you survive, you know. And when I first did it, I was like, this time I'm going to buy properties and buy houses and do it that way. And just every year buy one and pay it off, and then buy another one and try to get it paid off. And, you know, it's just, but yeah, going back to this year, is this going to be a good year? I mean, things are starting to, last year was just, well, I don't even know where it went, man. It did go by quick. At the time, it didn't seem like it was, but it did go by quick. It just disappeared. But this is going to be, you know, this is going to be a breakout year, I think, for a lot of people. I mean, things are a little volatile, which kind of worries me, because I feel like some things are just overinflated. You know, some markets are just overhyped and overinflated, and they're just going to hit a snag. You know, it's not going to stay just going up for forever. Most likely it's going to take the turns like it's always has. Mm-hmm. And I think just to keep that in mind of, you know, not to go crazy. Like, it's always been the mantra for what I've done is like, don't go crazy. Just take your time, take a deep breath. You don't need to build 50 digitals in a freaking month. You know, just relax. You know,
maybe 2 months.
You'll get them. Yeah, maybe 2 months. You'll get them up over the next 3 years. Just take the marathon approach, not the freaking sprint, you know. I always want to sprint, you know, like sprint. It's the how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Okay, I can't think of a better place to put a bookend to it. And if folks want to connect with you, you're on LinkedIn. Make sure to connect with with the man himself, Gray Vick. Gray, it's been an absolute pleasure. And if you found this to be valuable, please share it with somebody else who could benefit. We're definitely going to do it again. I think we need more time with Gray for sure. If you found it to be helpful, please share it. As always, make sure to smash that subscribe button down below there in the corner, and we'll see you guys next time. Stick around, Gray. Thanks a lot.